know that it's feasible to get it out in a way that would be meaningful and um, effective this year. I just fear we won't get enough. We're too far behind getting the word out. Um, I think there's lots of good examples we could use to draft an application and get those sorts of things going. Um, but even HSB, who has a long history and is well known and gives bigger grants, they have a window that's from April to I think end of July is what I learned yesterday. When they and then it still takes a few months to get the dollars out. I worry that we start this and then we back up all our teams and can't get the funding out fast enough. And so be I don't want to cause an unintentional uh, point of frustration for the people who would be on the receiving end. Yeah, so they don't even get the grant. So the grant recommendations don't even go to council till August. They make the decision mid-July. So April, May, June into July. So that it's about a 4-month cycle for their grants. So I worry we're a little behind on the ball. But I think if we have funding and maybe potentially at some point more funding, that's a great idea to do to like really start the process. And we should start having the conversation in the fall so that we can launch it in like, similar timing maybe. Same with parks. Theirs is a rolling grant application. They start in March and then it's a first come, first serve until they run out of the dollars. From what I understand, they have an intern who's managing the program this year because it's such a giant task for the team. I don't know exactly what the board's role is in that team work. I imagine they make the decision on who gets it and who doesn't. That's normally how that works. I used to for 10 years, I ran an award program at a different organization at a national nonprofit. And our application was similar in nature. It takes about 3 to 4 months from application deadline to rolling out the process, just because of what it takes to review and get everybody to be supportive and come to agreement on dollars and things like that. It just takes a little bit of time, especially if we don't have practice. But I did keep exploring to find out if there were other options, which I think there are. So we have 4 trailers in the city that are for activities and educational purposes, and their primary purpose is community building, right? So there's library, mobile library, there's a art a la carte. You probably hear about that one most often. There's a park and play, and then there's a wild wagon, which is like our open space wagon. Because of liability issues, we're not currently allowed to rent them out. So there's no there's no neighborhood, because I thought that'd be the best idea, right? We could sponsor neighborhoods and doing that and just pay the bill for them. But they're not allowed to rent those out. There's liability issues and there's a pretty significant staffing need with them. And so they're having a hard time activating them as much as they'd like to. However, in talking to the person who runs our a la carte, I think you guys might know her, Kate Cook. She sort of does some of what Rich Newman. She'd been working for him before he moved on to other things. She operates the art a la carte for the entire year for $10,000. So she was like, "You have $8,000. Like, what can I do with that?" They have a few neighborhood nights. I think you all know on Fridays we've been doing neighborhood nights, and some of them also have a movie night attached to them. And they're circulating there in 3 or 4 different parts of the city. So they were at Fireman Park, and now they're at McFall Park or Center Park. I think in the month of August, they switch locations. In September, they switch locations. There could be an opportunity. Maybe we sponsor like the entertainment or music at the September 8th one, which also has a bigger activity base. They're also doing some things with our art at the Sheridan tunnels. So maybe that could be something we could help support. And then Westminster Arts Week is September 23rd through September 30th. So maybe there's an opportunity there. With the cart itself, doesn't seem like a specific way. I don't think they're charging people. And if they are, it's minimal. Cause I thought, well, maybe we could sponsor, the first, whatever, 80 people or something. But it doesn't seem like there's a monetary or anything significant with that. They're still trying to work on what they're doing for their programming for some upcoming sessions, but um, I'm sure Kate would be happy if we wanted to support those. Um, August 11th has a movie night in the park plus the art a la carte. So, and that's at Irving Street Library. Um, the September 8th is at Downtown Pavilion. So maybe we could talk more about August 11th. That's pretty quick, but I'm sure there's an opportunity there where we could, or maybe we support both. Maybe we split it and, I don't know. Those were some things that we could tag on to that are already happening. And I don't know that we have to be there, but we could put, something together or participate. I don't know.
So quick question, if I can. How does art a la carte work from like what is that?
So there's a trailer that is basically like a program on wheels. So like if you went to the recreation center and wanted to do an art program, and it's specific, they basically stock the trailer with the things specific to that that art event. So like if it's watercolor, it's like all the canvases and all the watercolors and all the easels, and it's usually a teachable program, sort of like sip and paint, but no sipping paint or sipping, lemonade. So, think about that. It's like a how-to art something, and they're different every time. Kate provides a variety of.
So does the city have a certain number of events that they contract out?
They don't contract any of these. These are run by employees. Run and managed and programmed by employees.
Run and managed by the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's already paid for. So basically, what they could do would cover the cost of the supplies for additional events. Correct? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, at least for something. Yes, we would be helping cover materials for events, so then the community wouldn't have to pay for them, right? I think that how the a la carte has like a small fee. So if you go to family night out, you have to sign up in advance, and then there's probably like, I don't know, it's $25. I think they waive fees. It's mostly for kids, but they waive the fee for caregivers at this point. But they do small fees. They're set up for all ages and families are attended, but they do a small fee. So we could cover the fees. It probably wouldn't make a big dent in that 8,000, but we could cover the fees.
Interesting. Because one thing that popped in my head for something like this is to maybe gift certain nonprofits that have lower income participants. So things like Growing Home, a lot of kids in the program, is that maybe we can help to cover the costs of their participation.
Yeah, I can ask Kate if I can ask Kate. Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be like, I mean, per our it would allow those kids to be included in something that, kids that come from families of means can participate in, but they can't.
Right.
Things like that. And then it would also, presumably it would also, provide a little bit more of a broad group that can participate in these events, so it's not just, kids from a very specific neighborhood, that type of thing. So I love this idea. It is a little bit on the young side. I mean, the idea is obviously like, sort of the community gatherings is to bring it together who are often ones that need the most connection.
Right.
Or at least
these are at least it's family, right? All of these are family oriented things, and they still are under that umbrella of neighborhood nights. So it's not exactly what you're looking for, but it would help there.
Yeah, no, I totally see the value in, possibly pursuing something like that. Um, cool. And then, maybe we can even ask the Human Services Board if they have some ideas on other organizations that could benefit from this, that
Right.
have low income folks that would otherwise never have the opportunity to participate.
Right. And then I can talk to Kate and see how the sign up process goes, where people would sign up, and then maybe there's just a way she can, scholarship the kids or sponsor that night. Like maybe nobody pays on August 11th, and
Yeah,
we
okay.
and we promoted ag growing home. So then, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter who signs up. The
Yeah.
other ideas.
Justin, do you have any thoughts on that before we move on to other ideas?
Sorry, y'all. I'm juggling. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm juggling a phone call. Yes, I think these are. I think I'm open to whatever. I just wanted to be here to kind of support as far as like whatever we need to like get the momentum going. So Michelle, I'm kind of back in your corner. So whatever it is that you feel, you were the one that kind of brought up that we do need to have a community presence. I absolutely agree. We talked a little bit about the ambassador stuff. So whatever it is that I can support, I'm really on board with anything that we can do to support the city. I do think it's important though, whatever we do, that we are visibly sponsoring. So in other words, if we're supporting this, we need to be a presence at it. We do need to stamp what we do. I think what we have to do is we have to put ourselves out there. That's all. That's what I would
And
say.
I can ask Kate if maybe there's room for volunteers. So maybe Inclusivity board members could volunteer to help her that night or facilitate or something. So let me see if I can ask her that. I think that's sounding like the best way. And then maybe depending on how much that is, we can ask if we can, what the opportunities are at the next one. Cause then that next one is September or something with the bigger thing at Down Pavilion. But I like the idea of actually helping humans versus sponsoring the production piece.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
And I think the only other thing I wanted to add is just two people I talked to suggested, like you said, Michelle, talking to our local nonprofit partners to see if there's an opportunity with them. Like, is there a program at Growing Home that we could support this summer, right? Like that is building community. I think we talked at another meeting about something around the garden on Tuesday nights. Like, could we go down there on a Tuesday night and bring dinner or something like that? I don't know who to talk to about that. I could ask Whitney, who's with Growing Home, if something like that would be an option if you want me to do that. It's not necessarily bringing a neighborhood together, but it's supporting a community that's already coming together. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, well, and I think our 8,000 is not, I don't think there's going to be enough like events that are already happening for the 8,000 to kind of cover.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're going to have leftover money. So I feel like entertaining multiple options might be a great way to go.
Right.
And I think to Justin's point, and Justin, thank you so much for bringing it up, which is that we don't really have a presence in the city as a board.
Right.
And I do feel like it's weirdly, in a sense, this $8,000, it was always meant for some marketing, right? And by sponsoring these events, it becomes de facto marketing. And so I do feel like spreading it around is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think we need to, in my mind, we need to put ourselves out there. This is what we do. We are a resource for our community. And I think this would be a great vehicle to do that, whether it's having a few volunteers or, having our stamp of approval saying, yeah, we helped sponsor this event in some way, I think is really good. Because let's be honest, and politically, there are some questions about, how we can help, what we can do. And I think the more we're out there, the more humanizing we become to people that may not understand what our purpose is. And the more maybe we have the potential to make some connections with people who make assumptions about what we stand for. So.
Yep.
One third piece, sorry. So just for a quick recap, I will reach out to Kate to see if we could sponsor all the folks for August, whatever the one is, August 11th, and see if there's a way we can also promote specifically at Growing Home. I'll also reach out to Growing Home and see if there's something we could do on a Tuesday garden night that would help and bring awareness and community support. And then third, there were 2 neighborhoods for National Night Out that would really like some support. That's, I think, in 2 weeks. So Justin, do you have time to call them and see what their needs are and if we could support them also? I think it's probably minimum, like they maybe need snacks or a cooler full of beverages or something like that, but that would be another way to put our mark on something.
Sure. Yeah. Would you send me that information?
Yeah, it's in the email I sent yesterday, but I'll send you one directly with just that contact information.
That's
because I think it might get buried in there somewhere. So let me pull it out. Yeah. Okay.
And then Cody, I have questions. So in my email to you, I had just asked about what the process would be for purchasing gift cards.
Right.
Because the idea behind, if we do get around to doing these sort of like community gathering grants, is that typically what most cities do that have a program like this is they purchase gift cards.
Okay.
So it's not a direct, it's not like a processed payment through an accounting department for like a check that goes to a specific individual or a specific group. So
I know we've done gift cards in the past, but they audit them. It's a pretty, Jake probably knows a little bit more about that. Jake led that when we were doing family dinner nights, the pickup for boxed foods during COVID. It's just a different but intense audit. I don't think, I think it's an internal, more intense process because we audit all of our dollars for public use. And a gift card feels a little funny, especially depending on the amount of the gift card versus a W-9 payment. So I can ask more about that with finance. What dollar amount are you thinking? Because that would play into that too.
Like basically that we would have incremental gift card dollar amounts. It would be like 50, 100, 200, depending upon the size. And we would have an allocation, right? Probably more of the $50 ones and some, the idea is that not everybody can put together a large scale event.
Right.
So not everybody would necessarily qualify for the $200, that would bring together X number of, residents or households or whatever. So,
I have a little bit of, let me just ask finance. I mean, when we did them for the food pickup, it was literally every single gift card number was written down. I mean, it was a pretty intense process because we have to justify where that's going with the public. So did I miss anything, Jake? I mean, it's almost as much of an intense process. It's just all on finance and not on the public.
And it honestly got to the point, guys, it even got to the point where they wanted us to spread out the wealth because it was like, well, you can't just go to Target and King Soopers or Walmart. They wanted, because it looked like we were favoring certain organizations and corporations over others. So it is a really intense process, more so with the gift cards.
And so with the gift cards, though, one thing that I was going to ask is whether or not getting things like just a Visa gift card, for example, or no?
I don't. So to do a Visa gift card,
just because not every neighborhood is going to be near a King Soopers, or not every organizer is going to be able to go to, Walmart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
we need to be mindful of access.
But we also have to be mindful of supporting city businesses. So we did Visa as a gift for a community process a few years ago. It took almost 6 months for them to get their Visa gift cards, which were simply tokens of appreciation. So I can ask them and let me see what they say. I don't know that that's the best solution. I don't know that I think we're gonna need more accountability on it, and we're definitely gonna have to support Westminster businesses.
Right. The one good thing though about this is that because it is a Visa gift card, and I'll have to double check, is I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can still be able to provide or somehow, I don't, well, you know what, let me do a
Michelle,
little
the
research.
issue is on how I can purchase them with a P card. That's the issue.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There's
Okay.
blocks and limitations on our ability to spend public money. So
Well, and that hits us too at the public schools. We have a lot of auditing to do. There's a lot of background that we have to do to track those monies to like ensure that we're being equitable to community. Like so, yes. But if you could look at that, Michelle, I don't think it's a bad idea if we can figure out the process of purchasing them. I think that's the biggest thing.
There's also a process we have to develop to give them out. So are we talking about this for 2024 or are we talking about this for 2023?
Yeah.
Well, and I think right now, I mean, doing the groundwork, it's probably for 2024, right? I mean, I think we've established that we have too short of a runway. However, I mean, you know, I'm still going to push forward with taking existing applications, rewriting them. You know, we can always discuss them in our meetings and just see, you know, what we think, and that way we can pre-vet everything for for something in a future year. So even if we're not funded, I feel like it's worth our time.
Okay, because the budget retreat is August 5th, and right now our small monetary budget is not in the 2024 budget. So
and that's perfectly fine. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be like 2024 per se. It just needs to be groundwork is done. We can pull the trigger whenever we have money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then we'll add this to the next agenda. I'm sorry, I really only have a couple more minutes.
I know.
We'll add it to the next agenda,
And
and I'll make those phone calls.
One last weird question.
Yeah.
The qualifying requirements for a Human Services Board grant, is it just a nonprofit organization? Do they have to be a registered nonprofit organization, or could the Inclusivity Board apply for a grant?
No.
Okay.
We'd be taking our own dollars from them. If you were your own, if Inclusivity Board spins off and becomes its own nonprofit, you know, like the DEI group in Brighton, do you remember they came to visit a few times?
Right.
If it was something like that, then that group could certainly apply for an HSB grant.
Now, I was just wondering if there's a way that through the Human Services Board, but then again, their grants really are for helping individuals. But I'm just wondering if there's, you know, like, you know, some workarounds for not having specifically budgeted monies. If there are other places that we could maybe make a case for funding something like this in a future year, like in 2024.
I think making the case that we made these inroads and we noticed these groups need help with community building, we can make a budget request, certainly.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
Okay.